The stranded spark. The Trellin freighter Lightborn Mercy wasn't designed for heroics. Its hull creaked under age, its crew was a patchwork of traitors, and its mission was simple: ferry ore, water, and medicines to backwater systems too unprofitable for the Coalition to care about. So when the distress signal echoed across the void near Juno's reach, the crew hesitated. "It's a Terran pod," First Mate Rillick buzzed, mandibles twitching with unease. "Signal encryption is Class 7 diplomatic. That's not freight. That's trouble." Captain Zokah studied the hologram projected above the central console. It showed a slowly rotating escape pod, small, blackened from weapon fire, drifting cold. "No other ships in range," he murmured, rubbing a clawed finger along his chin ridge. "Estimated life signs?" "Faint," Rillick said grimly. "Whoever's inside won't last more than a few cycles." Another crew member, younger and smaller, chirped nervously. "Captain, it's a human. We should report it. Let the locals handle it. Or Coalition response." Zokah turned. "Coalition response won't arrive for 3 standard days. And by then, whoever is in that pod will be long dead." He paused. The weight of his next command hung thick in the recycled air. "Helping a human meant attention. The wrong kind. Prepare the docking bay," he said. "We're bringing them aboard." They cut open the pod by hand. Its emergency seals had fused under fire. Inside lay a single occupant, curled in on herself, clad in shredded diplomatic blues. Her skin was pale, her breathing shallow. One arm was shattered, ribs sunken. Blood clung to her collar. But she was alive. Zokah bent low. "Get her to medbay. Now." The ship's tiny infirmary was never meant for xenohuman physiology. Med drones buzzed in confusion. Their scanners balked at Terran biology. The crew stood helpless until Zokah rolled up his sleeves and worked with what he had. Fluid pumps, pain suppressors, regeneration stims. All rare, all expensive. But one by one, he used them. 3 rotations later, the human woke. Her first breath was a choked gasp, followed by ragged coughing. Then, silence. She stared up at the unfamiliar ceiling, then at Zokah, who sat in the corner of the medbay. "You're not pirates," she croaked. Zokah inclined his head. "We're traitors. You were adrift near Juno's reach." The human blinked. Her lips moved soundlessly for a moment. Then finally, "My name is Leah Voss. Diplomatic envoy, United Terran Nations. My ship, Sparrow Light, was attacked. No warning, just fire and void. You were the only one we found," Zokah said gently. "Your vessel's transponder was broadcasting a diplomatic signature. It didn't matter." A bitter smile twisted Leah's face. "Diplomatic immunity doesn't mean much in deep space." She tried to sit up and winced. Zokah reached to steady her, then hesitated. "We've used our best medical supplies. The others, they weren't sure we should help. But I chose to." "Why?" she asked. Zokah's mandibles clicked softly. "Because dying alone in the dark isn't something I'd wish on anyone, even a human." By the 5th rotation, the consequences began. A Coalition patrol pinged their ship with a standard query, and upon seeing Terran biometrics aboard, flagged the Lightborn Mercy for inspection and detention. "You violated Section 4 of the Coalition Neutrality Accord," the message read. "Unauthorized transport of Category Delta species." They were marked. Blacklist notifications followed. Revoked docking rights, frozen trade credits, silence from longtime vendors. One ship, one human, and now they were outcasts. Zokah gathered his crew. "We didn't just save her," he said quietly. "We chose to. We can still leave her behind. Drift her to the edge of Coalition space. She'll survive long enough for another vessel to find her." No one spoke, not even Rillick. Then Leah, leaning on the doorway frame, said hoarsely, "If you do that, I won't blame you. But humanity will know what you did." Zokah tilted his head. "What do you mean?" "I sent a signal. Before I blacked out. A diplomatic distress code. Tier 1 encryption. If it got out," she paused, then continued, "Terran Command will find it. And they'll come." Zokah felt a chill crawl through his shell. "Come?" Rillick asked. "With what?" Leah's voice was barely a whisper now, but it carried across the room like a dropped blade. With everything. That night, as the light-born Mercy cruised through silent space, trailing sparks and shields barely functioning, Zoka stood alone at the observation window. Above, the stars seemed indifferent. Cold. Far. He thought of a decision that had stranded his crew. The med supplies spent. The ports they could never return to. Behind him, Leah's voice rose again. You didn't have to save me. Zoka turned. She stood there in the soft glow of the corridor lights, pale but stronger now, her eyes alight with something ancient and dangerous, gratitude. But you did, she said. And humans, we don't forget that. She walked away, leaving silence behind. Zoka stared into the void a while longer. He did not know if they would survive the coming days. But somewhere across a dozen systems and burning wormholes, someone had heard that signal. And whatever humanity was planning to send, it wouldn't be small. It would be a message. Echoes in the void. The light-born Mercy drifted like a wounded animal, bleeding ion trails across the star lanes. Its outer hull had taken another beating, this time not from the void, but from purpose. The Black Maw pirates had traced the human signal. They didn't speak, didn't send demands, just fired. The Trellin-S patchwork shields barely held. Hull integrity dropped to 40%. The NAV core was cracked. And still, Captain Zoka refused to abandon the human girl they had saved. Leah Voss was in the auxiliary comms room, rewiring outdated Terran transponders into the ship's cobbled-together transmitter grid. Every spark felt like a race against extinction. You sure this won't burn out the main core? Rillick buzzed nervously as he watched the human fuse parts together. Burn it out? Probably. But if I angle the pulse correctly through the primary node, the ping should reach a relay beacon hidden near the Zephyr fold. Zoka arrived mid-sentence. You're not supposed to know where coalition beacons are. Leah grinned without looking up. Humans have a hobby called paranoia. Comes in handy. Zoka tilted his head. What kind of signal are you sending? Leah's hands paused. A Class V return protocol. Top-level diplomatic emergency. Automatically routes through shadow relays to Terra. If it reaches command, she exhaled, they'll send a response fleet. Rillick's eyes widened. You mean warships? Over you? Leah gave a humorless smile. No, not over me. Over the people who dared hurt a human diplomat, especially one who was trying to foster peace. Zoka said nothing. He knew enough of Terran history to know. When humans mourn, they build monuments. When they're grateful, they build armadas. 2 cycles later, the ship's rations ran low. Their medical stores were dry, and the pirates returned. This time they hailed. A grotesque insectoid face appeared on screen, flanked by cruel eyes and twitching sensory appendages. The pirate commander's voice slithered through the comms. You carry something that belongs to us. Zoka stood firm. You speak of a wounded envoy we rescued from the void. You fired first. You offered no quarter. We owe you nothing. The pirate's face twisted. Then your deaths will be our compensation. The transmission cut. A second later, plasma blasts raked across the light-born Mercy's starboard side. Leah strapped herself into a crash harness as alarms wailed. She could hear bulkheads buckling. Fire suppression hissed in the corridors. In the crew's eyes, fear flickered, but something else too, a growing resolve. She pulled Zoka aside. We won't survive another volley. We'll try to reroute energy to the rear thrusters, he growled. But we're cornered near this damn moon's gravity well. Leah opened her palm and showed him a blinking crystal. The signal. I got it out. Zoka stared. Leah's voice was steel. It's encrypted. I used my diplomat override. It's gone straight to Terran High Command. And if they hear it? Zoka asked. Leah looked him in the eye. Then I hope you're ready to see what human gratitude looks like. The ship rocked violently. Consoles exploded in sparks. In the med bay, lights died out completely. Rillick cursed as another vent blew open. Then silence. No more firing. No more motion. Just the soft hum of a broken ship hanging in orbit around a lifeless moon. Zoka staggered toward the observation bay. And then he froze. By the stars, he whispered. Outside, In the void where once there had been nothing, there was movement. They came not through wormholes, but through space folded like origami, compressed and torn open by gravity anchors designed for only one fleet. The 43rd Terran Retribution Armada. The first vessel emerged, a Colossus-class dreadnought, nearly 10 kilometers long, with a glowing crimson hull and cannon mounts large enough to vaporize moons. Next, 2 flanking Aegis battlecruisers, all shields and smart armor, sleek, predatory. Then came the swarm, smaller vessels, fast and angry, like hornets with engines. Stealth corvettes, drone carriers, a mobile shipyard, even a diplomatic barge wrapped in reflective silver skin, all bearing the Terran flag, the twin-ringed Earth crest wrapped in 13 stars, and beneath it, "We remember." Zoka's comms crackled. A single voice came through, calm but thunderous. "This is Admiral Juno Voss of the United Terran Nations. To the Trellan vessel, Light-born Mercy, stand down. You are now under Terran protection. Prepare to receive medical and engineering teams." Leah gasped. Zoka turned to her. "Voss, my mother," Leah said, voice tight. She came herself. On screen, the pirate fleet began to scatter. Too late. Terran ships surged forward, forming tight wings and opening fire with surgical precision. No shouting, no posturing, just obliteration. The Black Maw dreadnought never even had time to fire. Its core ruptured in a single clean strike. The rest fell like dominoes. On the bridge, Zoka watched in stunned silence. The space around his freighter, once empty and hostile, now glowed with Terran ships, each one humming with potential violence, each one there for him. He hadn't just saved a human. He'd saved a Voss. Within the hour, Terran engineers swarmed aboard, reinforcing the Trellan-esque cracked systems. Medics arrived with precision gear, tending to injuries no one else had even noticed. Rillick wept when one Terran offered him fresh water. Leah stood beside her mother, eyes full of unshed emotion. "You sent a fleet," Zoka said numbly. "For one person." Admiral Voss turned to him, expression unreadable. "No," she said. "We sent a fleet because you helped one of us." They called it Operation Covenant, the rapid deployment of diplomatic, medical, and military resources in response to a single distress ping from an injured envoy. But for those aboard the Light-born Mercy, it was simply the day the stars changed color. Captain Zoka had never seen a Terran dreadnought up close. The UTN honor-bound loomed like a god-forged relic, all angular hull plating and glowing pulse lines, a continent of metal in motion. Its escorts, frigates, medical cruisers, and even a mobile arbiter station dwarfed anything Zoka had encountered in his decades of hauling cargo and ducking pirates. Now, in the main diplomatic chamber aboard the Terran flagship, he stood unarmed, stunned, and unsure what to say. Admiral Juno Voss, dressed in high command blacks, regarded him across the table. Flanking her were ambassadors, advisors, and Terran AI translators projecting threads of real-time syntax correction. Her voice was calm, direct. "You risked your ship, your crew, and your livelihood to rescue a human diplomat. You administered aid, defended her from hostile forces, and delivered a Tier 1 priority signal across Coalition space." She paused. "Do you know what that means to us?" Zoka hesitated. "I did not expect this." Juno leaned forward. "Most wouldn't have lifted a claw. Some would have turned her over to pirates or sold the beacon codes to the highest bidder. You didn't." Behind her, Leah stood with a healing brace on her arm. She smiled at Zoka, not with the weakness of a victim, but with the weight of someone whose entire species now stood behind her. He didn't understand humans. Not really, but he understood one thing. They did not forget. By the next rotation, news of the fleet's arrival had already spread beyond the system. From the neon skylines of Draxel Port to the cloud farms of Vash Prime, whispers traveled faster than light. The humans sent 40 ships because one of theirs got hurt. A Trellan crew saved a human. Now they've got a Terran trade escort. Black Maw's gone. Terrans erased them for one envoy. The rumors, exaggerated or not, struck the galaxy like a hammer. Because the message was clear. Kindness to a human was not a risk, it was an investment. Back aboard the Lightborn Mercy, the crew walked among armored Terran engineers repairing the ship's shattered power conduits. Their ship, once creaking and scarred, now gleamed with reinforced alloy and a new transponder module, the latest in Terran encryption. Rillick stood in front of the upgraded NAV console. "We were dead 2 cycles ago," he muttered. Zokah nodded. "Now we're protected. And bound." "Bound?" Zokah looked out the viewport, where the fleet lingered like silent sentinels. "We're part of something now, whether we meant to be or not." In a formal ceremony aboard the Terran embassy ship, Admiral Voss presented Captain Zokah with a First Contact Valor Medallion, the highest civilian honor granted to a non-human by the UTN. More than that, the Lightborn Mercy was granted official recognition as a Terran-aligned auxiliary humanitarian vessel. That title came with privileges: open access to Terran trade stations, medical support at any UTN dock, and a standing escort in volatile zones. One human saved had become a bridge between 2 species, and a symbol to the rest of the galaxy. Terran gratitude is heavier than their guns. Zokah later stood alone in the quiet starlight of the embassy's outer deck. Below him, the fleet sparkled like a swarm of metallic fireflies across the lunar horizon. Leah joined him silently. He spoke first. "You could have said nothing. Let us leave you. Saved us the trouble." She shrugged. "You could have let me die." He nodded slowly. "I never understood humans," he said. "You're loud. Dangerous. Too fast. Too desperate to be seen." "And now?" she asked. Zokah's voice was soft. "Now I see what it means to be seen by you." Leah smiled. "Humanity isn't perfect, but when we find someone who doesn't run from the fire, we don't forget. Ever." He turned to her, antennae twitching in thought. "Why? What do you gain?" "Everything," she said. "Loyalty, trust, and if we're lucky, a new friend." As the Lightborn Mercy prepared to depart under Terran escort, a final transmission echoed across local space. "To all vessels, be advised, the Trellan ship Lightborn Mercy is under UTN protection. Its captain acted with honor, its crew with courage. You harm them, you answer to us. Admiral Juno Voss, UTN 43rd Fleet." The pirates would whisper it in backwater dives. The smugglers would mutter it as legend. And every diplomat, commander, and scavenger in the galaxy would learn the new rule.